Welcome to Local Umbrella Live. I'm Brad Weber, publisher with Local Umbrella Media here in San Diego. I'm at the beautiful IQ podcast studio in gorgeous Coronado, California. Another perfect day in Coronado, which are almost all of them. We have a really special guest from out of state, from the wonderful state of Texas, Miss Leanne Donelson, who is the CEO of Spring Shutters and Blinds in Spring, Texas, and also the publisher of Spring Klein Magazine. And welcome, Leanne. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I wish I was in your weather. It's hot and humid here in
Yeah, well, it's
Houston.
supposed to be this time of year, right?
Yeah, no one says,
Never
but
get used to it.
nah, it's
Well,
okay.
come out and see us sometime soon now that you can. So
Yeah,
we've been talking about, I've known Leanne for a few years because we happen to, people don't know this about us that much because we publish all these newspapers and magazines around San Diego, but I also print magazines for other publishers all across the country. And we've been printing Spring Klein magazine for, I don't even know how long, but a few years. Yeah, a
yeah.
few
It
years.
seems like
So
4 to 5 years now or
yeah, so
more.
we've connected. We actually never met in person, but we've talked to each other many, many times.
Yeah,
And part of the reason I wanted you on today was because your story is similar sort of to my own story. When I started the newspapers, I bought a business, was looking to advertise it,
yeah,
couldn't find a solution. People weren't reaching the market for the price. And I thought, well, if I can start something myself to pay for my own advertisers and sell a few other ads to cover my cost, it'll help me. And it kind of launched my little business, which I've recently sold. But you kind of had the same story, right? You started Spring Klein, or Spring Shutters and Blinds,
yeah.
and tell us a little bit about how you got into the publishing industry.
It was pure accident. I'd started a company for window treatments, and I lived in a neighborhood that had 3,000 people in it. And at the time, I had one child in elementary school, middle, and high school. And I only wanted to advertise locally
Mhm.
in my little pond, is what I called it. And our community newspaper was full.
Mhm.
And they kept telling me you're full for a year and a half, 2 years. They
Mhm.
didn't want my money. They didn't have anything to, no more advertising. So I got stubborn and I was like, they offered me advertising in different markets, but it was much further away. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, I'm going to learn this. So it was by pure accident. I stumbled across another small magazine. I got thrown into graphics and publishing and papers and mail routes. And let me tell you, if you talk to a postman and you give them cupcakes, they will teach you a lot about the United States Postal Service. And
Use that.
so
You're
that's
right.
how it got started. And I just wanted one ad to reach to the people in my community,
Mhm.
and I kept getting turned down. But turned out 4 or 5 other people in my neighborhood were getting turned down, and one of them was a huge car dealership.
Mhm.
And when I called him up, it was Planet Ford, and he said, "If you're doing a paper, I'll just take the back cover." And boom, my advertising for the magazine was covered. My cost for the printing was covered. Mailing was covered. It was like heaven had opened up the earth, and I could take full page ads. I could advertise myself. I could advertise other small businesses and causes.
Right.
So that's how it kind of got launched.
Yeah. Well, yours pretty. You have a lot of ingenuity. It just didn't happen by accident. I've known you a long time, and you do some amazing things with your publishing side of the business. I don't know much about your shutters, but I can only imagine you do just as good a job with that. But I am impressed with what you've done, not being a publisher. That you've kind of created this thing yourself,
The
and you've
funny,
done a great job. And you've got a beautiful website, and you've still got that car dealership on the back cover, so it's obviously
yeah,
working for them. And it's kind of what we talk about on the show all the time, and what we talk about all the time to our customers is that the very hyper local small community markets. Print is still, it's still kind of king. It all revolves around print, and there's a lot of ways to reach people online. But this is very effective because people love getting their neighborhood news, and they don't miss it when it shows up in the mailbox. They open it up, and there doesn't have
yeah.
to be that much in there. They just want to see what's going on.
Well, they want
So
to connect to their neighbors,
yeah.
especially since the pandemic. So if you've got neighbors that have got a small business, or they are, everyone's kind of shut down and closed down. Now you want to deal with people that are local because
Mhm.
you can reach out to them, and then you can find them to service you again and again as to
Mhm.
someone across the United States. You can get hold of them late at night if you're a plumber and something happens where the water starts to leak in the middle of the night from a freeze like we had in Houston.
Right.
You've got their number in their phone, and you know that they're going to refer you out again and again.
Right.
So it's getting out that advertising to the local people, but making that publication appealing that is all about them.
Yep.
And it helps.
Yep. It's a lot of work. I know you must work, I don't know how many hours a week, but I know you work really hard doing both those things. And other people have talked to me and to you, I know, about starting. I'm just going to start a magazine like you, and it's just not that simple. But it is an effective way to launch a business. So your shutter business is doing great these days, right?
Right. Yeah, it's done awesome. And I've had people come to me and said, I saw your product lines in that magazine, and I just kind of smile and laugh, and they'll go, I don't know who publishes the magazine. And I'm like, well,
Some things people don't need to know. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
great.
well,
Yeah.
that would be
And if
me.
you're having specials and things like that, certain times of the year, your busy time or your money-making
Yeah.
season, you can put yourself on the cover and really make a big splash. And
Yeah.
if it's a slow time or you have someone else that'll pay for it, then you make money on the advertising. But it's
Correct.
been a great way to launch your business, and I've talked to you a long time about that. And we work with mostly realtors that do kind of the same thing. They kind of own the paper, they kind of own the media in their market, because it's a very traditional way of marketing for real estate companies. But we recently got a plumbing company out here that's doing the same thing you're doing, basically, where they're taking the covers and
Yeah.
they're not doing the whole publication. We're doing it for them, but they're seeing the same thing where we can kind of own the media versus buying an ad in something else. We can kind of control which spaces we get. If it's they don't have to have someone telling them no, we don't have that space available, or the competitor getting in there and that type of thing. So we've got
Well,
an insurance person and a plumber, and
oh,
we want to find more people like you, because it certainly works if people just use it.
well, I've had my competitors come to me, didn't knowing I was publishing the magazine, wanting to take advertising. And I've said, of course, a full page ad is $19,000. It's like, and then they usually go away.
Yeah,
But why not?
why not?
They just got to write the check. But yeah, you do have that niche where you can kind of control a little bit of it. And if you're a real estate agent, you already have so many connections in the community. You
Right,
already have a handyman, you already have a roofer, you already got a carpet cleaner guy, you got an inspector, you got a title company,
right.
and you've been referring them out for years.
Yep.
Let's be honest. And they usually say thanks. So this gives the agents also, like it did with me, a chance to say, hey, take an ad with me, promote your business, and let's do a co-op together in an
Right.
advertising magazine. And let's direct mail it to where we want to be.
Exactly.
Um, that's what a local magazine should try to do. And
Got
then
it.
grab the local stories, put them in. So the reader pulls out the mailbox and they go, whoa, that's my neighbor. I recognize the front corner. That's my neighbor. I didn't know they owned that business.
Right.
And it's just a good way to kind of pull it all together.
And even the people you don't sell ads to, if you're out there talking to them about the magazine, they're getting to know you. You've got a personal relationship, and they're going to remember you. And obviously, hopefully, you drop the hint that you don't just do the magazine. You have a shutter company too, a blinded shutter company. And
It
if they
does
don't buy
help.
an ad, they're still going to remember you. Not
It
only
does
when they get
help.
the magazine, yeah, she stopped in and talked to me. I know Leanne. They know who you are. You've got a personal relationship, and that's about as good as it gets when it comes to local marketing. So, congrats.
Yeah, you're building those. I mean, if you're in the church communities or in a nonprofit organization, they start to remember you. And you start saying, hey, listen, I'm here to help too. And it gives reinforcement on two levels. I've been recognized as a publisher and
Mm-hmm.
also as a person who uh, did shutters and blinds more
Right.
so, but it's kind of fun. Um, sometimes there's ways you can work it out. I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of trade out
Sure. Yeah.
where actually I said, I needed a new roof, and I looked at the guy and said, hey, if you get me a new roof, I can put you on the cover in a 2-page spread.
Hmm.
And we kind of traded out the value, and dang, wouldn't you know it, I got a new roof.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of intangible, you got to
yeah,
pay your bills, you got to make money on it. But the good thing is you're promoting your own business. So you're not
correct.
just publishing where you have to make you have to make your house payment and feed your
Right.
family and all that stuff off of just the magazine. So it does take some of the pressure off. And just some of those big, I know you've told me some stories of some really big accounts that have come through, and that pays for a lot of that
Yeah.
sweat and tears in publishing. But just positions yourself as you basically own the market as much as you want to. If you want to put more energy into the publication, you can do that. If you
You can
want to
do
back
that.
off and just coast, you can do that. So it's I just think it's a great tool for a local business, especially home improvement. Like you said, realtors have all these connections, but even you have a lot of connections with different businesses that you're making relationship with. You can make deals or trades or whatever with,
Right.
or sell the ads for money. You've got a lot of different options there, but you're always out there. No one's going to forget about Spring Shutters or Leanne Donelson
It
in
it,
Spring, Texas.
it kind of helps. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic to come at it both. But you do need guidance when you start a magazine.
Yeah.
You can't just randomly grab pictures off the internet and throw them into a magazine. I
Right.
know. Um, you do need someone to do that legwork for you and take that on.
Right.
Um, and it's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But, with a publication like yours, you guys have got some articles already
Yep.
that can be kind of tweaked to be more local.
Mhm.
You can inject photos into it that are local, stories that are local. That's the beauty of it, you
Yep.
know.
And we take
Um,
the risk because we are
right.
publishers. We know what not to do. And you're always going to stumble, but boy, you don't know what you don't know until you do something. And sometimes that's really expensive. We've talked about that. We've
I
both been
knew.
through those things. So don't go start your own, because there's some landmines out
Oh,
there that
yeah.
you're going to step in.
Oh,
But that's what we
years.
do, is we kind of do that part of it, position you as a business on the
Yeah.
cover, however you want to. And so I'm just so glad to have known you and know that it works and hear the success stories and things like that. So you deserve it. You're a very successful, not only publisher, but successful home improvement company there in Spring. And I know you're
Oh, we're
growing. And
trying. We're
yeah,
trying.
right.
And it's just a different avenue to advertise. One thing someone once told me, you can make a cake, but a cake takes many pieces, ingredients. You can't
Right.
make a cake just out of flour. So print, advertising, getting out there, doing social media a little bit, getting your name out. That really does help. And I've had to
Yep.
talk to some advertisers that own business and said, I don't want my photo in my business. And I'm like, why? You're the walking, talking
Yeah.
spokesperson. Get your name out there. Real estate agents are not as shy, but
Mhm.
sometimes you get, air conditioning company. And I'm like, dude, do you wear a shirt all the time
Yep.
with your company name? What if
Yep.
they recognize you from that print and they go, hey, you're the guy that fixes the AC? And it's like, yeah, that's what,
Yeah, it's really a personal brand, especially in the smaller markets, because
yeah,
like
yeah,
you said, you want that guy you can call and count on. He might be your friend or a friend of a friend, and you're gonna see the guy at the little league game or the church or the local
yeah.
restaurant when you eat out and that type of stuff. And that's what community is. So it builds business, it builds relationships, it builds long term, where you're not refilling the pot all the time, because then those
Yeah.
people refer other people, and that's the way it's all supposed to be set up. So again, congrats for your success.
Oh,
Thank you very
thanks.
much. I know it's 2 hours later, so it's evening, about time to go to bed
That's
for me at
no.
that time.
No, we're still working.
Probably go back to work, right? So, anyways,
Yeah.
thanks for staying up so late, and I really
All right. No
appreciate
problem.
knowing you and what you've done. And I'm a big fan of yours. I think there's a lot to be applauded in the way you've gone about things and built your business, both your publishing and your home improvement. But
Just
um,
pure stubborn. That's all.
you st- well,
Yeah,
that's part of the mix, right?
I
Part of the rest of
guess.
me.
I
Anyway, well,
guess.
Leanne Donaldson, thanks so much for being with us. That's our show. I want to thank our sponsors, Attorney King, Saquon Casino, Indian Motorcycle, the gym, and IB Fitness. Thanks a lot. Everyone have a wonderful evening. That's a wrap.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Good night.